Ginny, Dave, and Aaron here from DS Tech and our topic today. But before I do that, hit the website, sign up for our newsletter so that you can get information and news about what's going on out there. Sometimes I give you updates on possible hacking, phishing attempts, and stuff like that you can be aware of. Anyway, footprint. Digital footprint. So before we came live, we had a good discussion and you missed it. But, we'll try to bring it all back.
Hopefully we can keep it up.
Yeah. So a digital footprint, the way I described it, you had a different analogy, but I was like, okay, so if I go visit Sephora's website, I leave a print there. And that's part of the digital footprint, right? And in your business, your organization, your digital footprint is everywhere that you've been and you exist. Your employees that are working from home, there's that, and your vendors, and
yes.
The more you have and the more your data is in the cloud, we talked about that before too. That's part of your big digital footprint. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think another way to summarize that too is, as a business, the business is going to have many applications. Some of those may be cloud-based. Some of those may be locally saved, on a server. Mm-hmm. That's all part of the digital footprint. So that third-party vendor that may be in the cloud, well, there's a digital footprint, transaction there that's happening all the time. And then that may have additional digital footprints, more people logging into that site all of a sudden. Now there's more credentials, more access. And again, it just increases and increases and increases. And as a business, you have to understand what your digital footprint really does encompass. And that could be anything from social media to your vendors, to your employees, to your emails, to really all of your digital.
Why do you care?
Well,
because
this definition is a map of all the external facing digital assets in your organization. So it's important because it is your digital presence is an attack vector for the bad guys. Yeah. What do they look at? Is it like this much? You only have a small digital footprint and it's difficult to get into? Or if you have 50 things, maybe one of those is going to be easy, the easiest one. Yeah. They're going to look for the easiest one to get into. It's like having 10 doors into your building and only locking 8 of them, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to go look for the 2 that aren't locked. So you have to protect and at least certainly understand where they all are and protect them from the bad guys.
To Dave's point too, 10, 15, 20 years ago, your digital footprint was really isolated to, your business, pretty much, your
website,
your doors, your website. As technology and time has gone by, we've got a very massive, large network, spectacle, whatever you want to call it. But our digital footprints are very, very advanced nowadays and spread across a lot of different fields.
So how do you figure this out? How do you figure out what your digital footprint is, or what did you call it, your attack vector?
From that
I like
side,
that word.
Vector. From the inside, you do footprint mapping.
Yep.
And so later on, there's some suggestions or whatever where you can use companies or DS Tech if you're interested in looking for your vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm. A great example would be a penetration test.
Exactly right.
You can hire a third-party accredited vendor to perform a penetration test on your business. They're going to come in and they're going to basically blast, pick, pull, tug, push every little thing they can to kind of map that footprint. And then with that mapping, they're going to show you where you have some potential vulnerabilities or some areas where there's risk.
Right.
It'd be a great place to start, actually, if you're interested in learning more about mapping your footprint. Yes.
And Aaron and Dave, you too probably. Have you seen those penetration test reports?
I have, yes.
You have not. I have not either, but I heard they're very impressive.
Yes and no. What you got to understand with any of this stuff is it's almost like a doctor's office visit. So what the doctor is going to do is they're going to do an assessment, they're going to do a diagnosis, they're going to basically kind of run through a whole series of scans to try to understand what the bigger picture may be. With that said, most of the time, quite often, the doctor never has good news, or
Right?
the
Yeah.
news isn't always the best. Very similar here is what you're going to see, or what a business may see with one of these audits or these
Penetration tests.
pen tests. Yep, is some of that scary information where you do have to start to think about and possibly take action on, because it does concern the footprint um, of the organization or the individuals. Yeah.
And there are things you can do to protect.
Right. No.
Find the holes and plug them, right?
Right.
So
the most important things are the obvious ones. Is next gen antivirus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And firewalls. So the firewall is protecting your network from the outside, but if they get inside it, then your next gen antivirus kicks in. But those you want to be more proactive, and that's what you're like defending your digital footprint is being more proactive and stopping someone from getting your network to begin with.
Yep.
Hence the firewalls.
Yeah.
And educating your employees not to click on things in emails.
Very good point, Dave. Is part of that proactive approach is technology is constantly changing. So if you go ahead and get a pen test done and they come in and tell you that these 10 things need to be changed or updated or fixed, and you go ahead and change those 10 things, does not mean you're out of the woods by any means, because 2 days later you may have an employee who changes credentials or does something differently, and now that is a new vulnerability. So what we would recommend as a cybersecurity managed service provider is to ongoing, monthly, quarterly, ongoing, because you're always going to find new things to work on. It doesn't sit still.
So a couple of things they touch on here in this article is third-party vendors. They basically need, access to everything in if they're updating programs like your line of business applications.
Yep.
We actually had a couple of years ago a local company. They got updates from their vendor that is, that's part of their business, right? As much as every computer and person, your vendor software is part of your business. They got their vendor sent out basically malware to all of their customers.
Oh no.
So yes, they were in the same line of business as this company was, and they got attacked. They got hacked because of nothing that was their fault whatsoever. So that's the kind of stuff. It's like, who even thinks of that? Well, if you're
smart.
Yeah, those guys are very
unfortunately.
and so that's one thing is vendors. You have to watch out for, and a lot of the stuff is also like websites. Making sure those are secure. You used to hear about it a lot way back. You remember people would deface websites. They would attack them and that, but that still happens. But it could also be a way to get inside of your company through your website. So,
well, a good I guess segue into kind of looking at how to best manage some of the digital footprint is to understand it for what it is. There's going to be a boundary. There's going to be limitation to it. It's going to grow. It's going to expand. It's going to change. But you got to understand it for what it is. Companies like DS Tech can certainly help and manage that. We do provide services that will help. For instance, the penetration test is something we can help with. And then another key piece here too is to make sure that those boundaries of your digital footprint don't grow accidentally. Multi-factor authentication. So if you do in fact have an incident where there's compromise, having a security protocols in place to protect your digital footprint is important. So having a secondary multi-factor authentication is going to really dissuade any kind of bad agents from taking advantage of your digital footprint.
Correct. Very a huge added level of security is multi-factor or two-factor authentication, which we of course recommend.
We've talked about that, and I'll make a plug for last week's show because we talked about reusing passwords. So if they get one of your passwords, you don't want them to be able to get into your banking information or anything like that. So make sure that you're not reusing passwords.
It's all part of the footprint.
Absolutely, all of it.
That was kind of off topic. We got before the show started about cookies.
And yeah, it was an interesting conversation. Maybe we should visit that one day.
Yeah, maybe our next show.
Maybe that'll be another topic. Well, next week's topic is working from home and productivity. So if you want to know about being productive at home and actually not overworking, that's the main topic. And when I was like, it's true. You can overwork, but that's our next topic. So did we cover it, you think?
I think so.
Yeah. So you know what your digital footprint could be, and you know how to protect it. So get on our newsletter and get in touch at security@dstech.net if you need any help with any of that.
And let us help you secure your digital footprint.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Make it a